have a very special guest this evening who's there with us to give a special interview for us. So we have Gilles, who is the CEO of XBRL Europe. Very, very honored to have you with us, Gilles, and very excited to have a brief chat on this new upcoming regulation, which is ESEF, which is going to be a very, very key step in the whole EU jurisdictions and having an impact for the companies, OEMs, etc. So we're looking forward to have a great conversation. So thank you so very much for, first of all, agreeing for this interview and also for your time. So from an EU perspective, how ready do you think the issuers are, software providers are? Of course, there is an audit needed for ESEF. So how ready do you think the audit community is, and the OEMs and the NCAs?
How the community is ready for ESEF, it's a good question. In fact, we could say that the issuers, I would say it's average. The large company, they begin to be ready. This is evident. The big corporates are going to be ready, or they are already ready. They have working groups which are working on that. In my opinion, the problem is more with the middle caps. The middle caps, the small companies which are listed anyway on the market. In fact, they are not ready. Even they have not heard about ESEF, in my opinion, you know. So, I mean, there is a long process of awareness to continue during this year, even next year, because in fact, it will be in the rush. As for the software providers, I mean, they have made a lot of progress. Because, in fact, some months ago, they were not ready at all. In fact, some were very good at the extraction of the data, or even the processing of the data. Some were very good at publishing information, but to merge the two, it was not really the case. But what I've seen recently on the market is that we could say that the software vendors began really to be ready. Are they ready completely? I don't think so. Maybe we'll have to have a learning curve effect when we see really the end of a first batch of AFRs, the annual financial reports. They will be ready, yes. The other part, like the auditors, in fact, they will be ready. One of the main issues concerning the directive, and it is not clear totally with the audit. At the moment, there are some publication which has been made by the European Commission, by different bodies and so on, concerning the way to do the audit. So it's not totally finalized. It will be finalized in next month, and it will be, in addition, modified in each of the countries. So it will have an effect anyway on the ESEF reporting, because as simple as that, in the countries, in fact, the laws maybe sometimes have to be modified. So when a law has to be modified, the parliament has to vote for that. And after the other community, we can say that one of the community which is important, this is the OEM, the officially appointed mechanism. The OEM are going to be ready to receive this information. The process is not the same in each of the country, because in fact in some countries the way to file is to go through the NCA, the National Competent Authority. For instance, in France, this is the Autorité des marchés financiers. In Italy, this is CONSOB. The issue is that after this authorities, there are this OEM, the officially appointed mechanism, which have the mandate to store and to publish this information. Many of them are going to be ready. Some of them are not ready at all, because they are in more remote countries or in smaller countries where they are not ready, I could say. And so we can say that it is progressing. there's some delay, evidently, because the delay has been first has come from the different authority, the Parliament, the European Commission, and ESMA, which has taken time to validate all the documents on the legal perspective. So now everybody is rushing, but I'm confident.
So I think. So now recently, UK with the Brexit is no longer a member or a part of the EU. So what do you think is going to be the impact, and do you have any message for the companies in the UK, and any advice, anything that they should be watching out for?
Very difficult question. In fact, I know. I would say that Brexit is a very sensitive issue. I wouldn't dare to make any message to the companies there and so on, because UK has always been a country which is a friendly country, and they are friends, in fact. And they are cooperating. More than that, in fact, the UK has initiated many of the legislations in Europe. The legislations are called the directives, and the directives, in fact, have been initiated by many countries in which the UK has played a leading role. So, for instance, for ESEF, maybe it's not so known, but ESEF, one of the leading countries, was the UK.
Correct.
So, in fact, I would say that the impact of the Brexit, in my opinion, will not be so difficult for the UK companies, because and it has been shown this morning during the presentations that the new text which are going to be voted for by the UK Parliament are going to encompass, in fact, the new ESEF, or what they are going to call it, whatever they call it, in fact, but it will be somehow the ESEF. Anyway, for the moment, it is ESEF, because they are still, even if there are no more members, in fact, until the 31st of December 2020, they are still applying the rules of the European Union. So, in fact, it will not change, in fact, and for the UK companies, it will not change anyway, because in addition, the UK is an XBRL country for many years.
Right.
In fact, they have set up the XBRL in 2010 or 11, or for the annual accounts, for the fiscal declarations, and the FRC, which is the standard setter, is making a lot of new taxonomies. They are responsible for that. So I don't see that they are going to change a lot of things, because you don't change something which is working well.
Correct. So what advice do you have for companies, since this is a new reporting format and EU is going the digital way?
It's a good question, and in fact, kind of advice, I wouldn't dare to give many advice. The only thing is that this type of legislation has not been made in order to bother the companies. It is made in order to give the information to the market for the future, because this information is going to be consumed automatically by algorithm in the future. So the way it's going to be made, it's going to be something which is going to be very important to give confidence to the market. So in short, for the companies, this is the new era of the data, the automatic data, and the way my advice would be to be open to this innovation, and to not to put too much brakes, because the organizations in the companies are going to change, to be modified, simply in order to extract this information, and it will be the emergence of new commerce, a new market of the consumption of the information. And it is for the sake of the companies themselves, to give confidence to the market. So be open and ask the persons who knows, like your company, like consultants, like persons who knows very well this technology.
Okay. Thank you. And in the conference about companies who have dual listing, who have a listing in the EU and also in the US. So I think companies have like a big question: are we supposed to do the tagging 2 times? It's going to be double effort, etc. So what's your take on this, and what message do you have for those companies who have a dual listing?
Yeah, they can say that, but in my opinion, in fact, they are well prepared to make the ESEF one, because the ESEF one is more simple to begin with, and so for them it will be much easier to make the European one than to make the American one, the US SEC one. In addition, there are some works at the moment which are made between the two authorities, the SEC in the US and the ESMA in the European Union, in order to have a convergence, a way to prepare the concepts and the filing, and to replicate a part of the filing between one of the reporting to the other part of the reporting. So it's not for tomorrow morning, of course, but I mean it is a work which is made by the two authorities, and it will be for the benefits of the company. So in my opinion, it will not be a big problem. Yeah, definitely not.
Okay, that should... So another very interesting question, Gilles, is around the validations, because I think OEMs are referred to as the storage mechanisms, who are just allowed to kind of receive files and not validate. So that seems to be like a big question. In fact, in one of the speeches of ESMA chair Stephen Mayor actually says that OEMs are required to operate as mere repositories of regulated information, including the future of regulated ESEF financial reports. Most are not empowered to run validation checks on the submitted electronic filings. So these are kind of very, very bold statements, and the true purpose of XBRL is to kind of make sure that the data is kind of clean, and therefore users of information get the right data. So what are your comments on that?
In fact, this is really related to this emergence of this new technology, because of course in the past the validity checks were made manually by different persons in the authorities, and the OEMs were just storing the information. So okay, it was very blunt, I would say, While now with the technology we have this possibility to make validity checks well in advance in the companies, and also it doesn't prove that the financial statement in ESEF will be of good quality. So it must raise the question about who makes really who can make the validity checks, the different checks. So of course the OEMs are resisting. They said no, we have not the mandate, and the NCAs are saying, okay, we are doing validity checks of the company itself, but this is the work of the auditors to make that. But, okay, everybody is of the ancient world, I would say, but how to use the technology and to maybe modify the mandates of the different stakeholders in order to make that, we will see that in the future, in my opinion, that some mandates are going to be modified. What is sure is that it could be more interesting to have the checks embedded into some part of the softwares, or to create some kind of library of the checks to be made and to be neutral and to have this validity checks neutral. I know that ESMA is going to publish a conformance suite concerning some checks also, validity checks of what, because there is the technology itself, the XBRL, but also there is the checks about the IFRS, which is the content itself. So I mean, it's a very good subject for the future. It will not be organized in 2 or 3 months. It will be one of the main points, a hot topic for, in my opinion, for the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Well, that's. Which companies put it up on their website. So in terms of ESEF reporting, we do understand the ESEF taxonomy has multiple languages, but do you foresee companies submitting multiple language iXBRL reports to the OEMs?
It's a question interesting, in fact, because languages in the European Union, we have 21 or something like that languages for 27 countries, 28, 27 now. And so it means that evidently in the countries the publication is to be made in the local language. What is sure is that with the XHTML and the XBRL ESEF taxonomy, it's possible to go from one language to the other. In an AFR, you have 2 parts. The part which is a narrative, which is in the local language, that could be translated anyway, and the part which is the taxonomy for the XBRL, the data, and that in fact could be used in other language because of the power of XBRL, which could be made in different languages for with the taxonomy. So it means that with the XBRL part, you can shift from one language to the other very easily because the translation has been made by the European Commission or under the supervision of the European Commission. And for the rest, the narrative is under simply the responsibility of the management to make the translation if they want to. What is sure is that the law of the country is to be applied. So if it is to be made in French, it has to be made in French. It is to be made in German, it has to be made in German. Evidently, the report will be able to have that in English because this is some kind of common language which is used by everyone.
Yeah. The next question is, ESEF reporting is new, right? So how are you kind of helping the different stakeholders, the companies, audit firms, OEMs and CAs in getting on board with this new requirement?
It's a very good question. First, we can say that we are making awareness around that evolution for so many years, because I remember that we made that some awareness even with the member of European Parliament for the working on the Transparency Directive. So now the Transparency Directive has produced this ESEF, the RTS, the ESEF and so on, and we have continued our work to organize events around ESEF. So we have started in 2018, we have continued in 2019, and we continue now to organize that. We have made some specific events, like one in London. We have supported some specific events in different countries, in Germany, in Italy, in France, in many countries, in order to give information to the market. And in the various jurisdictions in the different countries, we continue to give this information. For the countries where there's no XBRL jurisdiction, for us it's a bit more difficult, and this is the reason why we have set up a digital hub. and the digital hub, which is you can find that on our website on the esef.xbrl.org, if I remember well, or or esef.eu. You can find this information of many webinars which have been made by members, and also the ones from ESMA, in order to educate the market. And even the webinars are going to continue in 2020, even in 2021. And if I remember well, your company has signed up for a webinar, which is going to be published soon, I guess,
Sure.
because you sent me an email recently. So, we are pushing a lot to educate the market. Of course, what is interesting, what is important for us is to be a coordinating platform in order to give the market as much as information as possible. Of course, we cannot make everything by ourselves, but at least we arrive to push. And today, it's a good example, an illustration, because yesterday it was an XBRL Italy event in addition to the XBRL Europe event, and there were Italian stock-listed companies which have attended this event in Italian in order for them to be educated in this market. So, in short, yes, we are making what we can do to push the market for that.
Okay, so this means that we encourage definitely everyone to take a look at the XBRL Europe website,
Absolutely.
and especially the digital hub. So we can look for information on the taxonomies, on the webinars, and any educational items to kind of take a look at.
Yes. I would urge to all stakeholders and your company, other companies, to push the people to go on our website and to go on this ESEF hub, digital hub, in order to be educated by these webinars. And in conclusion, we can say that we were not sure at the beginning, when we have launched this hub, that it would be successful. Mm-hmm. And with the statistics, the recent statistics, have been, even myself, astonished that it has been visited a lot. It is visited a lot.
Of course. I think from our side, we are also trying to do our bit. Of course, we as a company are very, very passionate about XBRL and evangelize it a lot. So I think whenever we meet, companies, whenever we get, opportunities to kind of present, we kind of present and speak about XBRL, the reason why it is important. And then it becomes to companies that, yes, this is kind of really something which is going to be useful for them, because in the initial people think as a compliance burden, but I think when you explain it to them, that is when they understand that it has huge implications. Yes. So I think from our side, we are doing our little bit in order to kind of contribute to the awareness through webinars and also through sessions that will improve the awareness levels.
Good. Yeah. Thank you for that. Anyway, as I repeat, thank you for your support, because associations like that are existing because the members are supporting. We are a public good. We are not giving any favor to any party. We are trying to respect the neutrality, but we need evidently the support of all the members and to evangelize the market. This is very important. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we've had a wonderful chat with you, and thank you always for being so sweet and for agreeing for this interview as well. So I think the message is kind of very, very clear. So the regulation is, of course, going to be out and up and running. So I think it's important that every stakeholder takes equal responsibility and embrace the standard of XBRL. So once again, thank you so much for your time, Gilles. Hugely appreciate.
My pleasure. And I would just say as a conclusion that ESEF is not the end. This is a step, because the future is also with new type of reporting, which is going to give also confidence in the future in the market when we see the non-financial reporting which is arriving. And with this ESG, I think also that we will speak again about XBRL for many years. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.